with a woman, her name was Rachel, who came into the Halltown area around 1790, and she was referred to as the African woman, which means at that time when they called you the African, that means you came directly from Africa
Interesting.
to this country. And she probably landed in the Tidewater area, but she was brought into the Halltown area. And she had a son named William H. Payne. Anyway, he was a slave down in the Halltown area, and he ran away a lot. And the owner kept coming and getting him, and evidently they must have formed a fairly good relationship between the two. But he became a breeder. Now, breeder is a slave that goes from plantation to plantation or go to a big breeding house and cause impregnate the slave women so that they could make enough slaves so they could sell them south, because the South didn't have enough slaves, so Virginia became a slave breeding state. When he was set free, the owner told him, because of your service to me, I want you to go find the last woman that you impregnated and the kid, and I will give you and her a piece of land. And he gave my great 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 grandfather, William H. Payne, land down near Halltown. And the area down there was called Payne's Hill. And that's where the history of my family sort of began, because he went and got a woman named Henrietta Parrish who lived in the Duffields area, which was the last woman that he impregnated. And from her came a woman named Harriet Payne, who married a Nichols from down in Maryland. And on that side, it came down to my great-great-grandmother and then my grandmother, and then on down through to my mother's side. So that's how we got here. And from what I've learned through the history that I've been able to gather, that Payne was a slave down in the Halltown area, Ron Hall area, when John Brown made his raid. And if you know where Lewis Washington lived, as you come on back to the first, could easily have gotten, him, but he went to the All-Stars. Little things like that, you pick up. And even when during the war, when the contraband camp was in Hubbardsburg, he was still in the area. What happened, and all we'll never know. But he was here from that first African woman in our family came. Of course, she eventually went to Pennsylvania, and she died there when she was 107 years old. She died. Her name was Rachel. We don't know her last name, but it appears that I have a picture of him, that William H. He was a mulatto. What characteristics he had that would qualify him as a breeder, I don't know, because I don't know how tall he was or what, but it was something about him, I guess, that the reason they used him. 24, 25 offsprings, kids that he did produce during that time. And we do have that on tape, because my cousin in Washington lived with my great-grandmother at Halltown when she was a little kid, and my great-grandmother used to tell her the stories about it. She started doing research too down in Washington, and that's how we come up at that side of the family. It took us years to find out who that woman was, the last woman that he had a baby by, And my sister, Mary Dokes, who lives over, every time I'd go to the courthouse, she always say, Jim, see if you can get some information on a woman named Henrietta Parrish, because that's who her mother talked about all the time. And I never heard of her before. So I finally went on, I think it was Ancestry.com, and I got the death record of my great-great-aunt that died down near Duffield. And it showed who her mother was. It was Henrietta Parrish. And that's how we can finally connected the whole thing because William Payne married another woman named Allison's, and we were connected with them, but we weren't really related to that side, only through him. Now we got the bloodline from Rachel, William H. Payne, Henrietta Paris, Harriet Nichols, on down to Ella Nichols, down to Harriet Nichols, down to my mother, Harriet E. Dotson Taylor, and that's how we got to the Dotson side. The Harriet Nichols married a William Dotson, and as a result, this is how we got here.